ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everyone in between and adjacent, welcome to the Rush Rundown, what I believe is the first and only 10-minute testing ripoff for Rush Duels. Today on the Rush Rundown, we're starting our coverage of all the brand new decks from most recent update with one of my all-time favorites. Yes, this is a deck that I love so much that I've already featured on the channel 3 other times in a Rush Rundown, a Rush Rematch, and now I like to present to you one more time for one more Rush Rundown until the rest of the broken support comes out in some point in the future. With that said, please allow me to present to you Hero.
I am just a man, not superhuman. I'm not superhuman.
This is the part of the video where I tell you to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below. That's right, today we're taking another look at the Hero deck. This has quickly been one of my favorite decks to play in Rush, period. And now this new version actually makes it a meta threat. I've always said on like tier list videos and staple videos and all kinds of like meta discussion videos that I think Hero is really close to just being there with a couple more cards of support. And hey, now we've got them. So usually we like to start our card by card with our skill before we go over kind of what the deck's game plan is. Well, we've already gone over the skill 3 times, so let's keep it simple. If you're not familiar with the Hero skill, it is Hero Rush Rising. You send one card from your field to the graveyard, and then you make one monster based on the field, lose attack points, and you add a fusion from your deck or graveyard to your hand. Very simple. If you've played against Hero, this has probably happened to you like 7 or 8 times in one duel. It's pretty crazy if you end up in the grind game with heroes, but if you are currently participating in the ranked ladder, you probably already know everything about that. As well, if you want me to go into more detail on what the skill actually does, check out the older Hero videos. I just want to go over the new cards for you. So, to start off our card by card, let's take a look at the new cards in the extra deck. In the most recent update, we got Elemental Hero Shining Flare Wingman. This is actually a direct adaptation of the Shining Flare Wingman that exists in the TCG. There's nothing really changed. Some other cards in here did have changes compared to the paper versions. If you don't know what Shining Flare Wingman does, he takes one Elemental Hero Flame Wingman and one Elemental Hero Sparkman. He must be fusion summoned. This is a very important clause. No requirements. This card gains attack equal to the number of warrior type monsters in your graveyard times 300. This card destroys a monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard. Inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's original attack. So, Shining Flare is actually our big boss monster. Usually you would think Hero and paper you'd want end on something like an Ab-Zero in classic heroes, or something like a Dark Law in modern heroes, but Rush went ahead and just directly printed a card like Shining Flare Wingman, and he is fantastic. Like I said before with the skill, it does reduce the attack of the opponent's monster, basically guaranteeing that Shining Flare or regular Flame Wingman can swing over virtually any card, and then burn them for a massive amount of damage. The other new card in the extra deck is Elemental Hero Voltic Wingman, brand new Rush exclusive hero card here. So this takes Sparkman and Avian, must be fusion summoned, again, very important clause. During your main phase, you special summon this card. Also, very important, you cannot just spam this whenever you want. You can fusion summon a level 6 to 8 warrior type monster that can only be fusion summoned by shuffling monsters from your graveyard into the deck as material. Now, this card doesn't mention that you're using for heroes, but the only targets that exist are hero monsters. So you think 6 to 8, you got 8, which is Shining Flare Wingman, 6, which is Burst Wingman, 6, which is Flame Wingman, and 6, which is also Thunder Giant. Important note, because it is 6 to 8, Voltic Wingman cannot summon another Voltic Wingman. As well, it also has the clause that you can only summon monsters that must be fusion summoned, which is on all your hero guys. Now to get started on the main deck, a lot of what you're doing is just to streamline yourself into making these hero plays. A lot of the previous powerful cards that Hero got just make another appearance here. So to start off, we're on one Rising Hero Tantalum. This is, if you're not familiar, another Rush exclusive hero card. And what he does is he sends that card of your deck to the graveyard in order to gain 400 attack until the end of the turn. And if you have face a warrior type monster in your field, you can also return one face level 8 or lower monster on your opponent's field to the hand. It's a very nice effect. I personally really like Tantalum because he really clears out space on your board sometimes. Sometimes, if you have to do like a double Argent play, it's nice to just tribute summon this Tantalum over your Argent so you have field space to then fuse with. Speaking of Argent, we're on 3 Rising Hero Argent. Reveal one level 6 or 7 warrior type monster in your extra deck, being the Burst Wingman, Flame Wingman, or Thunder Giant. in this deck. Activate top 4 cards of your deck. You can add up to 2 activated normal monsters listed as materials on the monster you revealed to meet the requirements to your hand. Place the other cards on the bottom of your deck in any order. So Argent is of course a very important playmaker for the deck. If you do not open any of your heroes, well, you need to find them. And Argent is one of the best cards possible for doing that. Now, that's all that we have for the effect monsters. So the loop of the hero deck is basically just using Argent and other power spell cards to find your materials, making big fusion plays, using out something like the Voltic to then shuffle back what you just fuse Voltic with, maybe like a Shining Flare Wingman if it's deep in the turn, or a Burst Wingman to get some extra spell trap destruction. It's just a really consistent deck that really tries to kind of counter defensive plays without doing any kind of piercing, or to beat over strategies that really just try to end on one big dude. The hero rushing skill, along with some of our other spell trap choices, really exists to help us do that. So since Argent must hit non-effect monsters, the rest of our monsters are in fact normals. We're on 3 Avian, 3 Burst Intrix, 3 of the brand new Clayman. This is exactly just Clayman from the paper version of Yu-Gi-Oh! And he represents something crazy, being the first kind of like 2k stat monster that can just be normal summoned that isn't a legend. And in the same vein, Sparkman is a normal summonable 1600 normal monster that is also not a legend. This is absolutely huge. Just these guys with their stat lines actually change a lot about Rush. If you have the vibe you're going against a hero player, you'll think twice about attacking into set monsters, because there is a high chance you're just attacking into Clayman and your 1500 dude is just going to hit you back for 500. So overall, we want our flow of always having access to these normal dudes. Maybe it's off Argent, maybe it's off Star Restart, or maybe it's off some of our brand new cards. Speaking of brand new cards, we have Miracle Fusion. Now, very important. You may be thinking of Miracle Fusion from the TCG and thinking, well, yes, this just banishes 2 monsters from your graveyard or field and fusion summons a hero. No. Rush Duel does not have a banished zone. So, this brand new version of Miracle Fusion, which, I might add, you can only obtain 1 of, so it is a 1 of by default. This version of Miracle Fusion summons a warrior type monster that can only be fusion summoned. Also important, it does not say hero. You can summon any warrior type fusion by placing monsters in your field or graveyard as material on the bottom of their owner's deck in any order. That second part of the clause is kind of saying like, oh, if you somehow get an opponent's monster on your side of the field, you can fuse it away from Miracle Fusion if you're playing the kind of deck that can do that. For our legend spell, we are on the limit 1 Pot of Greed. This is a flex spot. You don't need to play Pot of Greed here. I personally like playing Pot of Greed just for the draw consistency, but you could cut Pot of Greed for Polymerization, which isn't limited, to then have access to something like Compulse or Negate Attack for your trap card. We're on 2 of the brand new Elemental Circulation. This card is crazy. The best way to describe it, it's kind of just Graceful Charity, but only for heroes. It's really good. It's really cool. It's really crazy. Lets you turbo draw from your deck a whole lot. Now, effect is, reveal 1 level 6 or 7 warrior type fusion monster in your extra deck, and send 1 warrior type monster that's mentioned on the material from your hand to the graveyard. Draw 3 cards, then send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard, and you cannot activate non-warrior type monster effects for the rest of this turn. It is quite literally Graceful Charity, but you need to be playing a deck that has level 6 or 7 warrior type fusions, and you also need to basically 2 card combo, also having one of their materials. So the idea is maybe you have like a Thunder Giant and Clayman, so you just go, okay, reveal Thunder Giant, send Clayman, Graceful Charity, send Sparkman, okay, cool, Miracle Fusion that we just drew into the Thunder Giant, and Thunder Giant pitch a card, pop, and we just go off from there. Really crazy card, really lets you dig through the deck very quickly. I was playing 3 of this at one point, but I did actually end up cutting 1 for the 1 Tantalum, because I wound up finding in weaker hands that I would end up with Argent Strand on my board that needed to be tributed for the Tantalum just to get space so I can actually make a fusion. We're on 2 Star Restart. Super important to find your normal monsters, and having a way to just pull them out of the grave is very nice. You'll notice we're not playing the Flute card that just summons normals because we're not looking to only summon Avian. Star Restart, it's really good for if you make a Flame Wingman to then reborn a spent or milled Sparkman to then go into your Shining Flare Wingman. It's just a very flexible card that really helps you find what you need, especially if you're playing around with your Rush Rising skill. You could send an onboard Avian off, lower a guy down, star restart the avian back, add back fusion if you have fusion in the grave already, and then pop off from there. We're on 2 avian spell tactics. I really wanted to cut this card altogether, but I ended up really needing it for a lot of situations just because of how more powerful traps are. You know, the Burst Wingman does pretty much cover everything you could want in terms of spell trap destruction, but I found myself going for the Flame Wingman or Shining Flare Wingman lines way more, so I figured I should just keep avian spell tactics in the deck, but not at 3, in order to get going there. It's also really nice for shuffling back Spence Argents, because there's not a lot of shuffle back in Hero. That's pretty much just through Miracle and Voltic, but unfortunately there's no fusion for Argent, so we have to make do with non-engine ways of doing that. Speaking of non-engine ways to do that, we have Talismanic Seal Ray, really good to just lower a big dude's attack stats, and then let Flame Wingman or Shining Flare Wingman destroy them, and then let them burn the opponent for pretty much their entire life bar. We're on 2 copies of Fusion. Usually in the past we'd play just 1 copy of Fusion in the hero deck, but now we're on 2, just because sometimes hard opening the Fusion is really nice. It gives you a free card you could then send off the Rush Rising to add back the same copy of Fusion immediately, or it lets you just fuse without having to really invest any of your hand into anything else. We're on 1 copy of Executed Writing. I really wanted to play this card and more copies just because it's a really good combination with Sparkman, leaving a spot open to go Cutie, Reborn, Sparkman, lower down their like Master Excel road board, slowing their guys down super low, and they can't even get over the Sparkman. It's really cool, but it ended up not working out too great just because of how prevalent spell trap destruction is right now, especially with Dark Galaxy pretty much leaving the format. We're on 1 copy of Buffered Slime. Oh my god, it's been so long since I got to add Buffered Slime to the deck. Yes, so Buffered Slime is in here mostly because it's good against Hero. You're going to see a lot of Hero players, so you need something like Buffered Slime to keep you alive. It's also pretty good against the other decks that are being played heavily right now, like Baseball, like High Tech Dragons, but it is still pretty bad against the big boss of the format, Master Excel Road. And then finally, for our Legend Trap, we're using Widespread Ruin just because we want the pot of greed and the other good traps are limited to 1. So we cannot afford to play them. So before we move on to the games, let's round out our extra deck. We are on 2 Burst Wingman, the big scary powerhouse of the Gaia format, and then of course 2 copies of the elemental hero Flame Wingman. Not much to say about those guys. They've been in Heroes since the start, baby. So let's go ahead and check out some games. All right, here we are, game number 1, and our opponent is on Cyber Dragon. Oh man, I remember back in the past when this was going to be our last game for the game number 3. All right, we're going first. We got a pretty decent hand. We're just going to set everything. Maybe hold the Miracle Fusion. Yeah, we're holding the Miracle Fusion because the last thing we want is the Miracle Fusion to be popped, especially when we hit cards like this. If they clear our board, we do just get to summon Flame Wingman for free on the next turn. So they're going to lead Special Cyber Dragon, of course, activate skill, add Proto Cyber Dragon, normal summon that Proto. Here comes Cyber Twin, most likely. Ooh, normal summon a second Pro, activate future. All right, here comes Cyber and Dragon. So we're gonna probably end up showing off exactly why the hero deck is so powerful. They're gonna swing over Burst Tricks, which is pretty nice. Thankfully we got to keep the Argent. We'll take a whole bunch of damage. If we take one of those, we're dead. We need a pretty good hand to fix. Ooh, not great draws. However, let's activate Argent, revealing the Burst Wingman, see what we got. Playman, Sparkman, Burstinatrix, and Fusion. Oof, we'll add that Burstinatrix and go ahead and the skill, get rid of the Argent, lower them by some points. Normal summon Argent again. Let's try it again. Okay, this time we actually do want the Sparkman. So we reveal Widespread, Burstinatrix, Sparkman, Clayman. Thank you. We're just going to add the Sparkman because the opponent is dead. They are just dead now. All right, so let's normal summon the Burstinatrix, activate Fusion, fuse all of our monsters. Boom, there is the Playing Wingman. Normal summon the Sparkman. Wait a second, second Fusion, activate that Fusion. And here comes the Shining Flare Wingman. But we are not done there. Let's activate Miracle Fusion, shuffling back those 2. Oh no, we lost attack points. Oh, anyway, Burst Wingman, we summon out, activate Burst Wingman attack, boosting up the Shining Flare Wingman even further, swinging in for 16, and then burning the opponent for 4,000. Swinging Burst Wingman over their little guy, and 1,000 direct on Argent for game. So I mentioned in the card by card that this deck is really good at dealing with big monsters, and I think that was a pretty good showing of exactly why. They had 4,000 attack points, and we OTK'd them over said monster. Now, if your opponent just windmill slams the Yggdrasil, windmill slams a max overload, sorry buddy, I don't think they will be living very long. The Shining Flare Wingman is coming. Alright, here we are, game number 2, and we are going up against Master Excel Road. Yes, unfortunately, I did film these during my King of Games climb, so it was pretty much just Master Excel Road up and down the road, except for the people also testing Hero. And we're going first once again, but this time we got a very, very good going first hand. We're going to go ahead, set Clayman, set Avian, set Fusion, set Star Restart. So if anything, keeping the Star Restart alive for the next turn means we pretty much go off. So they're going to draw for turn. It's first card, Mystic Dealer, 9 Master Excel. That's pretty good. Pitching a card and drawing a card and revealing now the 7th Road Witch. They're going to add Road Start. Noticeably, they only added 1 card, so they don't pitch. Normal summon the 7th Road Witch. Unfortunately, we do not have any backer to contest this, so they go Witch, pitch a card, and summon out the 7th Road Magician, which they also had in hand. They're going to go ahead and normal Road Start, and then, oh, they didn't activate Fusion. I guess that means they did not actually have the Fusion spell. Right, they're just going to go ahead and clean out our board, except the part where they walk into 2 Clayman that they cannot swing over. This leaves a lot of material to either tribute summon or send over with our skill. So we're going to draw in banger hand. Activate Evening Spell Text, popping that back row. Noticeably, the back row was a set magical stream, just a blanket. So we're going to send Clayman with our skill, lower down the 7th Road Magician, normal summon the Burstentrix, normal summon the Avian, activate Fusion, making the Flame Wingman. Then we're also going to normal summon Sparkman, activate the 2nd Fusion we set turn 1, making the Shining Flare Wingman. Once again, noticeably he is big, but not big enough. So let's go Star Restart, put back that Burstentrix, add Sparkman, add Fusion. So now let's activate Fusion, sending both Sparkman and Clayman to grave, basically guaranteeing that this will be game no matter what. So here comes the Thunder Giant. He's just here to be a big stat line and get our guys in grave. Swing in with Shining Flare Wingman for 3,100, and then burn them for exact lethal at 2,100. Have I said that Shining Flare Wingman is absolutely the GOAT of this deck yet? He's just the best. He's the coolest. I love this card so very much. Alright, here we are, game number 3, and you know what that means. A 1v1 versus Master Excel Road. Yes, we did just face a Master Excel Road for game number 2, but it was the King of Games climb, so of course we have to face more. We're going second this time, and we open Pot of Greed and Graceful Charity pretty much. So let's go ahead and see what the opponent does and if it can even live. They go and activate Pot of Greed of their own, pretty cool. Drawing 2 cards, sending 1, 2, 3. Oh, tributing 1. You can pretty much guess what those are. Oh, tributing another one. Okay, I guess at this point you can just assume those are both witches. Alright, no back row, so let's pop off from here. Drawing a card, hits Sparkman. Oh my god, amazing. Lead Pot of Greed, draw 2. Avian Spell Tax would be nice if they actually set a card. Alright, reveal Thunder Giant, draw 3, pitch 1. Oh my god, why are we even keeping the spell text at this point? But we did hit Argent at least, so Argent reveal Burst. This is the only thing we're missing. And we hit Burstentrix. Very, very cool. Add Burstentrix, normal summon Burstentrix, activate the Hero Rush Rising, sending the Argent, targeting the Burstentrix. They don't have any face-up monsters. Normal summon Avian. Now we go Fusion. Fusion summons Flame Wingman. Now we can also just normal summon Sparkman, set Clayman, set 2 cards, and swing into what they have. There we go, they take 16, swinging over the first witch. We'll swing in over the second witch, and we are feeling very good. They have a really good graveyard for us. But of course, they open another Master Excel Road target, which they reveal is the 7th Road Magician. Adding Fusion with a little stamp on it, nice, and their 3rd witch. Pitching a Mr. Alchemy. Tributing over Magician's Valkyria, by the way. There you go. Here is the Witch, which effect sends Road Star, summoning out the 7th Road Magician. Northling Strange Cat, and activating Fusion to summon the Charmy Witch. This is huge for them. Charmy Witch effect. They do not flip our set monster, they instead put the Flame Wingman to defense. They're going to go ahead and swing in with the Charmy Witch, piercing over the Flame Wingman, and swing into the Sparkman for a massive amount of damage. We're about at half life, but with 1 set card on the field and us already having the answer, I think we're in a pretty good position. Star Restart, putting that card back, adding back Sparkman, adding Fusion, flipping Clayman, and then popping that back row. Switching ahead, go ahead and shuffle back Argent. You notice it was White Root, which could have been really bad for us. Okay, Rush Rising, pitch the Clayman, normal summon Avian, activate the fusion that's already out of field for the Voltic Wingman. Now we go Voltic Wingman effect, shuffling it back Flame Wingman and Sparkman to summon Shining Flare Wingman. We'll set a card. Okay, well, we had more to do, but the opponent said, you know what? I understand the game's over. No reason to pop off. Let me out of here. And Shining Flare Wingman picks up the 3rd W in a row. So we're back with the deck, and hey, did I say this deck was nice, or did I say this deck was nice? Now, despite everything, I do really love this deck, but it is not without its flaws. So let's go over the pros and cons. Let's start with the cons. Well, first of all, Elemental Hero Flameman is a very small man. He is very, very small. Being just 2100 attack, he is easily swung over on the opponent's turn. As well, Voltic Wingman is also a very small man who just kind of sits on the field and chills. Not having access to anything to get this dude off the field after he uses his effect is very crippling for us. We are also playing a whole bunch of normal monsters, which half of them are just really small. They're just small guys who don't do much on their own unless we see our plays. We also lose to a lot of critical back row that almost every deck is playing. XQD Writing can stop us in our tracks, Buffered Slime, while yes, we can still burn them with Flame Wingman or Flare Wingman, Slime pretty much stops every other guy in our deck. We also have no protection to stop Widespread Room from killing us, nor do we have anything to stop a good timed Compulse from instantly losing us the game. That said, having our biggest weakness being the total number of normal monsters which we need to play, and being weak to the best back row leads this deck to be pretty well balanced. Now for our pros, of course you can see the burn damage is absolutely huge on our 2 big bosses. Being able to just absolutely punish the opponent for just playing set dudes or just big dudes in attack really works for us. We also have a really nice set of toolbox. Cards like the Burst Wingman, like the Voltic, like Miracle, that really helps us get our plays made. Of course, also having access to Graceful Charity isn't much to cough at either. There's also a lot to be said about having some absolutely powerhouses, stat line wise, just chilling in our deck, and having a bounce effect like Tantalum is also really crazy. Honestly, the tools in Hero and the tools in Warrior all really come together to make this deck something really powerful. I would honestly say this deck is seeing a lot of play on ladder for a good reason. Yes, I do think the high ends of Master Excel Road and the Light Galaxy deck do go much higher than our Hero deck, but I think we're standing right up there with the big boys and have a decent amount of power on our own. Anyway, with all that said, not much to say about the Hero deck, honestly. This is my 3rd video on the deck altogether, and I absolutely glazed this deck on my streams, so check out those whenever they end up on YouTube. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.